Welcome back for another rookie profile video here at the Fantasy Authority. I am Andrew Harbaugh. You can find me on Twitter at Mandrew_FF. Today I'm going to be talking about a wide receiver that I really didn't even have on a watch list at the beginning of things. Hype's kind of grown with him a little bit. He's been a hot name on draft Twitter, especially with Senior Bowl coming up and everything. And then even my buddy Tyler Fornes, who works for Climbing the Pocket as their lead draft analyst, was reached out to by Jordan Reed to see what he thought about it. And from there, it just kind of worked its way down the grapevine. So now here we are, and we're going to discuss D'Wayne Eskridge, the wide receiver out of Western Michigan. Now, Western Michigan in the past has produced Corey Davis. That was during the PJ Fleck era that got him the Minnesota job. Since then, the MAC has been a lot of fun to watch. Western Michigan was undefeated for a good portion of the year, and a lot of that is because of D'Wayne Eskridge. The stats from him this year weren't over the top. In his career, though, he's been very productive. 121 catches, over 2,000 receiving yards, averages 18.5 yards per reception, 15 touchdowns. And what I love is he gets used in the return game, which gives him more opportunities to be used on an NFL team. For me, I think the biggest thing is when you look at receivers, not necessarily the biggest thing, but something to keep in mind. Age isn't a big factor. It's not like everyone talking about with the Devontae Smith thing. But Eskridge is 24 years old. That's how old he'll be when he gets drafted. I think that's something that's going to be interesting to see because he's going to have to kind of burst onto a team right away. And I think he has the skill set to do that. He did an interview where he talked about how he kind of tries to model his game after Tyreek Hill. And while he definitely has the speed that kills like Tyreek Hill, going the whole way back to high school, winning state titles in the 100 and 200 meter dashes and doing some other track and field events. He has the athletic profile to be that type of receiver. The biggest thing with him is the route running is not really there yet. The simple routes like your curls, your slants, that's where he scores a lot. Several times when I was watching him last night, he took one slant 85 yards to the house and he just outran the entire defense. When I was doing some more looking at him in 2018, they had him on laser time on a 40 at 4.33. Essentially what we're going to be going off of is pro days coming up, and again, that's going to be done by the schools. I don't know if he really ran a 4.33, and nobody's going to really know any good 40 times without the combine having their official time. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with Eskridge as he goes through the process. One-on-ones next week for the Senior Bowl will be really big for him. If he has the week everyone's hyping him up to have, Jim Nagy has not bluffed on his receivers in the past. Last year, it was Van Jefferson. The year before that was Terry McLaurin. Obviously, those two are very different in terms of the fantasy aspect, but he gets the receivers. That's one thing he's done very, very well in scouting both the Senior Bowl and when he was with the Packers and the Seahawks. Look at those teams and how they've always had the receivers nobody talks about. You get on day 3 and then they turn into these fantastic players. Jim Nagy is a part of that. He knows how to scout the receiver position. So when he says it's somebody good, I take notice. Something that I think, like I said, the speed's going to be his biggest thing for him, but something he's really going to have to overcome is the route running, like I talked about. But the other thing I want to touch on is the press corner coverage. We see a lot of teams running zones lately, especially you see Cleveland running a lot of it lately. You saw what the, Pat Mahomes and company, Chad Henne, were able to do against that. And then I think the other thing to keep in mind is the contact balance for him is going to be big because everyone's going to be faster in the NFL. And on tape, when he gets caught, he doesn't really have the ability to break out of that tackle. I think he has the potential to be a really, really fun receiver and going to be a steal in fantasy drafts because nobody's talking about him yet. Who knows after next week, like I said. And just to add an exclamation point to the profile here, I won't always have comps for players, but I will say that I really see a lot of Diontae Johnson in his game where coming out of Toledo, he was kind of like a one style receiver, had one really good thing that he hung himself on and his hat on, and he got to Pittsburgh, and you know what Pittsburgh does for receivers. They develop the heck out of them. I think Diontae Johnson is going to see a big jump next year. Obviously, the drops have been awful this year, but he's still going to be that team's number 1 receiver next year. I don't think Juju comes back, but enough about Diontae Johnson. I think Eskridge with the right team would be a really fun fit. Just off the top of my head, a couple places I think that he would thrive. Jacksonville, a nice compliment to DJ Chark. DJ Chark can be that big physical receiver and take the top off of defense with his size. Eskridge can do it with his speed, and we know they have the number one pick, so they're going to have Trevor Lawrence there. I think Trevor Lawrence and Eskridge would be a lot of fun. You can get him later in the draft if you're Jacksonville. The New York Jets, Denzel Mims is there, yeah, but they still need some other receivers to build around. And with Michael Ford being the passing game coordinator in San Francisco, then coming over to, and Joe Douglas doesn't like going early on receivers. This just screams the New York Jets to me. So those two spots I think would make it really interesting fantasy value discussion for Eskridge, and I think it's something to keep track of. Like I said, this is just another one of the rookie profiles we're here doing at the Fantasy Authority. All of us are going to be working on pounding these out for you guys. We're going to try to get some more content here with the Senior Bowl coming up, and we hope you stick around for that too. But for now, I would say if you have a rookie draft and you can probably get Eskridge undrafted at this point, or take him like one of your flyer 4th or 5th round picks, trade back into the draft or something like that. But until then, we'll see you on the next video.